there's so many applications for this product, into integrated circuits. There's a number of very, very high volume verticals.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Easby Group CEO Jason Crabtree and Neil Crabb, a Pulsiv board director and also CEO of Frontier IP. Jason, Neil, very good to speak with you. Jason, I'll start with you. What attracted you to Pulsiv's technology and strategy?
Good question, Stephen. So we did a lot of research in this space, and it was very clear to us, talking to people across the industry, that Pulsiv's approach and their OSMIUM technology was really a fundamentally different way of approaching this problem, and they were coming at it from a different angle. After many years of research, they'd arrived at a solution that was, to us, revolutionary, and we felt very much the right partner and the right approach. The testing, the data that was shared with us, was very clear to show that the product and technology, has a level of efficiency, thermal performance, and is just, uniquely able to meet the changing regulatory compliance. And we also like the concept of the designs, Stephen, in terms of how the componentry was designed, compact designs. We felt there was a tremendous number of applications from the way that the product was put together. But probably equally importantly, the last part of my answer is, from the get-go, we felt companies' core competencies were very aligned, our cultures were very similar, and we felt, really confident that going on a long-term journey with our partners, Pulsiv, was the right choice for us.
What's the potential market for these modules?
Tremendous. I mean, there's over 2 billion units sold with the USB-enabled sockets. Over a year, huge volume. And that will change and grow and increase with, as I say, the changing legislations, the requirements. There's so many applications for this product, into integrated circuits. There's a number of very, very high volume verticals that we feel that are there for us to approach, and are only going to increase as legislation tightens and the demand for more efficient, eco-designed products are coming through. And with this game-changing technology, we can address all of that. So, a short answer to the question is a huge amount of potential across the global marketplace.
Neil, what does this mean for Pulsiv?
I think it's excellent news for Pulsiv. What we were hearing from our customers was they understood our microcontroller, but they needed a partner that could really show it implemented into an end product. So, power supply is much more than just the microcontroller, and that's Delta Matrix's whole focus is to serving that market. So for us, it enables us to more rapidly work with Delta Matrix to develop products that the customers need for their design cycle to be quicker, but also to then be able to supply to them those end power supplies where they don't make them themselves. So it was really a response to what we hear from the market. As Jason says, we'd worked closely with them, and that meant we'd mutually been able to solve problems around how the technology was implemented, and that's been useful as well. They really understand things like the cost engineering too, which a small startup doesn't necessarily do. So we felt they're really the right partner to enable us to take this to address what is a very large opportunity. And just to pick up on that, the regulation that's coming, people will be familiar with USB-C connectors in a range of their own domestic devices. The in-socket market is growing as well. And there's enormous pressure from a regulatory point of view. So the timing is really good for this, because it's not just the new standards, but the regulation that's coming behind and pushing, which is forcing lots of companies to think about that design cycle. And so we're kind of pushing an open door with them where they don't necessarily have the expertise in-house. And I think the combination of Delta Matrix with Pulsiv really does allow us to meet that need for them.
Jason, what work did you have to do before reaching this stage?
Well, to get to this point, and exciting developments to bring the product to market at the minute, but to get to this point, it's been a long process of collaboration between the two businesses. We've been working closely together now for over 2 years to get the product right, correct, and as efficient as we believe it can be. We've supported a tremendous amount of verification, testing across Europe and Asia to get the product in the right form. We've also been working with Pulsiv for 18 months to get the right supply chain design in place to give us the resilience we need, but also the volume to address some of the opportunity that again, Neil alluded to there. So we've really focused with our partners on getting the supply chain robust and also responsive enough to deal with the market demands that we see. And as Neil said, we've been working very hard to meet cost targets, stringent cost targets. We've done a lot of engineering work in order to make the product competitive, so that our customers, collective customers, can have not only a highly efficient product, but a commercially very attractive product. So the two teams have worked concurrently now for over 2 years to get to this point of the journey, and it's been a tremendous collaboration.
Neil, anything to add to that?
I think that's clear. I think just what I will just do is show you what we're actually talking about. So that's the power supply that we're talking about. So when we talk about all effort design in, and within that, the bit that Pulsiv makes is this tiny little chip, which you might just see on the end of my finger. So when we talked about mutual competencies, we're really good at this thing, but Gulf Matrix are really good at this thing, and both are necessary to meet the customer need. And I think that's what the basis here is, that actually we've got mutual advantage. We deliver technology differentiation to Delta Matrix. They deliver scalability to us.
Sounds like a great partnership. Thank you very much for joining us today with all the details.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Stephen.
That's Easby Group CEO Jason Crabtree and Neil Crabb, Pulsiv board member and also CEO of Frontier IP.